You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair. You just need a computer or your phone. You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, it's Rusty. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the public access, the public access podcast, the podcast here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. It's been a little bit, I guess. Episodes are dwindling down for the rest of the, I don't know, I think I have one more. And then, maybe one more until September. We'll see. We'll see what happens, see how long that lasts. But thank you, everyone, for being here. If you are listening and you want to watch this show, you can watch either on YouTube or Rumble. That's easy. Search the Public Access Podcast. Or if you are watching this and you would rather listen, go for it. I don't care. Either way is fine with me. Pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find this podcast. Find yourself. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Much appreciated. And it's time for me to bring on my special guest. And my special guest is right here and right now. And my special guest right here and right now is Megan Gaul. Megan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Rusty. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. How is your day going today?
It's great. It's 11 a.m. After a Memorial Day weekend, so we're all recovering. Luckily, yesterday I had some time to just, I don't know, reset my house, reset my life before work again.
That's probably a good thing. What did you get into for Memorial Day?
Oh, we went out to a friend's cabin. We sat by a lake. We ate delicious meats and cheeses. It was fantastic. How about you?
Nice. Not much. Hung around. I ended up going out to Six Flags, and then went out to the Jersey Shore, which was something new.
I heard there was a state of emergency. I know this is unrelated, but I heard there was a state of emergency on some of the boardwalks this year because of just random violence. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I saw there was some random violence somewhere. I was there after. I was there, I think, the day or two after. I was there on Sunday. I think most of it was happening on Friday, Saturday, but there's my alibi. So I'm all set. I'm all set. I didn't drive out there until then. But but it was pretty nice. I'd never been out there before, so went and checked it out, because why not? If you're out here, you should do that. Whereabouts in the world are you?
I'm in Staten Island, New York, so I'm not far from Jersey Shore.
Oh, okay. You're not far at all. Okay.
No, I was there the previous weekend. We were in Wildwood.
Oh, okay. Shit. All right. Cool. So that's real easy. Okay. Yeah. So I think you and the Wu-Tang Clan out there, and
we're tight.
Yeah, I thought so. That's that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh yeah, she probably pretty tight with the Wu-Tang Clan.
There
So
is Ghostface has a like a little pop-up coffee shop down the street from me. It's called the Killa
no
Coffee.
shit.
Yeah, I can walk to it.
Okay.
I'll take you down there. We'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, this show brought to you now by the Killa
Hmm.
Coffee. All right. Cool. What brought you out to Staten Island? Are you from there or did you
Yep, I'm from
end up?
here. I took a bit of a, I was born here. My parents are from Chicago, but we've lived here since I was a kid, and I took a brief stint during college upstate in Ithaca, but other than that, I've been here forever, and it's great. It just feels like that close to the city where everything is accessible, and then you get enough green and enough separation from the city where you don't go like nuts. So it's great.
Right. Um, and so then you're taking ferries then, or do you just mainly do you stay mainly on the island or do you
When
venture
I
out every?
commuted, I took the ferry and I loved it. It was excellent. It's so nice to just have like a part of your commute where you're sitting for 25 minutes on a boat. You don't have to like listen for your stop. You don't have to transfer. You can just take out a book and enjoy being on a boat. It was fantastic. Now I work from home, so I miss it a little bit, but
Okay.
you know, it was great.
You even answer my question, what do you do on the ferry while you're waiting for going across into where were you in like in the city or were okay.
For a few years, I was super downtown, very close to
Oh,
the ferry on the other side. And what I would do would be reading, checking emails. Some people like before my time, you get a shoe shine, right? There's the shoe shine guys.
oh
I always
shit.
thought, yeah, they were famous. It was like a brother team, and there's paintings of them. You go into a restaurant and there's like paintings of the shoe shine guys.
Holy shit. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, so then you're not driving, you're just hopping on as a
If I go
walk on.
there, yes,
Okay.
I'm a hop on. On Staten Island, you don't need a car, but most people have cars.
Okay. And that's pretty nice. That's a good feeling to not have to do that, not to have a car. I made it for like 8 years. 8 years, yeah, like 8 years, 8.5 years without a car.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Where
nice.
and whereabouts?
This was in Oregon. This was in Portland, Oregon, uh,
Mm.
area. I from the night that Obama got inaugurated was the last night that I drove a car or had a car until 2017. And when I moved
Excellent.
out to Boring, Oregon, um, which is the name of the place, the name of the town.
Is it really? No,
Yeah, Boring, Oregon.
but I'm sure everyone thinks you're being facetious.
Yep. Nope. It was really boring, Oregon. It was another town. It was a town called Damascus, but then there ended up being too much corruption within the city government. And so they just decided to disband the whole city. And it just got overtaken by, or, not overtaken, but um, what I don't know what the term would be, uh,
Reincorporated?
reincorporated into good old Boring, Oregon. So yeah,
Wow.
I lived in Boring, Oregon. And so I had to get a car out there because it was hard to get around without a car. But the rest of the city was easy to get around. But yeah, but I mean, I've only been on the only ferry I've been on out here is the one that goes from Bridgeport, Connecticut to Port Jefferson, I think, up on Long Island.
Oh, I haven't been on that one. Sounds nice.
Okay, yeah, well, it was all right. It was
It was
cool.
all right.
It was all right. It was a thing, but yeah, I didn't do the car part of it though. I haven't done that part. Just did the walk on.
Love it.
Yeah. So okay, so on there and you're reading or, doing emails or whatever it is, like, where are you on the ship? Where are you, like, hanging out in, like, the seats that look outside? Are you standing outside even if it's pouring down rain, or, um, hanging
It-
from the rails, or
There's a strategy. If you're a commuter, you want to be on the side that has nothing to do with the Staten Island Ferry. I mean, so with the Statue of Liberty, because you don't want to be where
Oh,
all the tourists are. So especially if it's like in the summer, height of summer. So usually I was Brooklyn side, bottom level, because it's always less crowded on the bottom level, either inside or on the front is really nice. You're outside on the front. There's no seats, but you can kind of sit on the ground and just kind of, if it's nice weather, you're just going to enjoy the air hitting your face. Sometimes
cool.
there's this cool woman doing Tai Chi on the 8:15 boat every morning. She was like 70, just doing this badass Tai Chi. And it was like hypnotizing to watch her. I bet you would know.
Probably. She gonna have it? Are you gonna make a mural for her?
I should.
I think she needs one now too. It can be if yeah, I don't know, because yeah, I think that's it's such a better way to get going in the morning. Like I enjoyed it going. I could get so much stuff done, or I could just sit there and read if I wanted to for hours. I didn't have like a smartphone. Maybe I had a smartphone
Mhm.
later on, but um, yeah, I felt like I was still able to do a lot. Or if you know, when I was going to school at some point, doing schoolwork on there, or reading,
Yeah.
it's always kind of nice, and you're not having to worry about traffic or whatever. If there's a lot of traffic, what are you gonna do? It's not your
Yeah.
thing. You're just
You're off the hook for having to pay attention to anything. So it's forced stillness in your day, which is always
right.
good. Like there was a time in my adult life where I was very uncomfortable with stillness of any kind. Many of us riddled with constant worry and anxiety as we are. But now I'm so happy for those forced moments of stillness in my day. It's really refreshing, especially if you can do it outside.
What got the change? What made the change there from being able to embrace that? Uh,
It was a long time coming. Like it was very gradual, but I think um, I started on a health journey. I started addressing some disordered eating that I really wanted to change and become more, solid with my eating, not in relation to emotionality. And through that, I just got a lot of skills with kind of looking at my thoughts and my worries in a more detached way and just kind of being calmer with how I was. And I started to see at work, I was still letting all those worries come up. So I started implementing a daily meditation habit in the morning, just for 5 minutes before I started work. And that was probably in 2019 that I started that. And I've been going strong with that ever since. And I think those two things, the being more detached with my thoughts and doing that daily meditation, just have been building on each other and really helping me appreciate that stillness, because I know it's healthy for me. I know it helps me just approach life with way more, I don't know, way more openness, interest, calm, fun, joy, or even just like neutrality. Neutrality is nice too.
yeah, and 5 minutes is not a long time. I don't know if
Mm-mm,
people know that or not.
it's
It
not.
may seem like there's no way I have time to do that, but five
And
minutes,
if you
yeah.
feel like you don't have 5 minutes, do two. Try two. It's like I had some days where I could only do two, and it doesn't matter. It's just the act of to trying to engage in the practice. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be good at it. You can let your mind go crazy and be like, that was a really bad meditation session. You can think that, but just doing it is still helpful. Like you're just constantly practicing. And no matter if it's good or bad, you're working towards more calm in the future.
Right. And if you find out you have one that's bad, that's great. That's great that you can have the uh, realization to understand that it was a bad one and like, well, that was a bad one. That means I have had a lot of good ones that are working and I'm onto something and whatever I'm doing right now, I just need to change it a little bit because
That's a great
I know how
point.
to do this. I'm
Yeah,
already
and you've
there.
you've noticed that it was, you've created a judgment on it, and you could say, "There's a judgment. Oh, I just created awareness of that judgment." Now you're getting meta, and now you're
Yeah.
you're looking at your thoughts instead of being defined by them. It's great.
And there's so many different instances of that where just realizing that, oh, this wasn't good. Like, or, I'm realizing something isn't going right that I've been doing is huge. And, people think that that's a huge, not, a huge stop, like a huge
Obstacle,
block, a
yeah.
huge obstacle. And it's quite the opposite. I mean, that's the time when you're doing something right and you're very close to getting to that place you need to be. You're already there, but uh it can be real hard to see at that point and just going, "Man, I keep fucking up on everything I'm doing," but you know, you probably have already been at the right place at some point, and it's great to be at that. It's great to be wrong. Great, a lot of people I think are have a hard time with that one. That it's great to be wrong, and it's okay to be wrong, and it's good to be wrong because you're learning and you're improving stuff. You can think that everything's great for a while, but if you're not learning, what are you doing? You're not evolving for
Yeah.
one.
I think with anyone trying to do anything hard, like if you're trying to get through a work project that your boss put on you, or if you're trying to, I don't know, be a better partner to your partner, or if you're trying to change a behavior that you see yourself doing during the day that is not good for you. Like you're gonna hit those points. You're not gonna get through it perfectly. You're going to get to points where you're like, that was not the right thing to do. That moved me away from my goal. I missed that deadline. I snapped at my partner. I, overate emotionally again. You're going to hit all those points. And I heard once, I can't remember where it was from. Someone said every time you get up from that, it's like a mental push up almost, like you've gotten up, you've recommitted to what you were doing. And by getting over that hump, you've just strengthened your muscle of getting over the hump the next time. So it makes sense with what you said. Like those mistakes are not bad things. They're good things and in fact strengthen you. Very hard to remember that in the moment because
Huh?
you're all wrapped up. You're like, I suck.
Yeah.
I'm bad, emotionally bad. But yeah, it's crazy when you can step back and be like, no, that was actually good. And all people make mistakes, and that helped me.
Right. And yeah, there are certain times where it's not the best at the moment to be like, oh yeah, like that's something I should take a moment back and step back and listen. If someone tells you to calm down and take a breath or something like that, like it can go a couple different ways there.
Yeah.
Like it can go really bad, but like in reality, it's probably a good thing to get to a point where you can just be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, maybe that is a good idea." And I think the openness is important too, getting to there. I had a client asking me about, or telling me about that he, was looking for help in some analyzing of what's going on in his world, and um, then he's messaging me back saying, "I don't think I'm getting it," but then listed like everything that he needs to know that I would tell him anyway. And I'm like, "Look, you're already doing everything. You don't even like you don't need me right now. Like,
Self-coaching.
yeah, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. You're figuring this out. You're figuring out that you're fucking up on some things, but then that means that you are 10 steps ahead of anybody else right now who is doing that." And I'm like, "Good fucking job. Good job. You're
Yeah.
doing it just like." yeah, like just knowing that you're messing up, because like you could be doing something, you could be, I don't know, drawing something, for instance, since I can't draw at all. But then yeah, learning that like, oh, I can't draw a cat. I can't draw a cat, but then you can, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I got lost on that idea, and I thought I could bring it around, but it
I'm
didn't
thinking you
make
can
it.
draw 50 bad cats, and then by the end, you'll have some good cats in there.
Yeah, or if
That's-
it's not good, it's at least your style of bad cat,
yeah,
and that could be even cooler. But that's something that you have then practiced and done that mental push-up that you were speaking of.
totally.
You saved my ass there. Thank you.
Brought it back.
Yeah,
That's
brought it
really
right back. Um, so how'd you get into your new, was that in 2019 when you got into your new life? Was there some sort
yeah,
of event or events leading up to something?
totally. I would say it was a nice little cascade of things. And to be specific, the event we're talking about is kind of like it is really changing my daily routine so totally that I was able to go from, you know, obese and anxious and depressed to a healthy weight, and I've been maintaining that healthy weight ever since, and have done a ton of work on that anxiety and that tendency to go into depression. So that's kind of the big change that we're talking about here. And I think what kind of got me knowing that I needed to do something, take charge somewhere, was um, one, I heard from a friend about just how easy it is to reach out to a therapist when you have insurance, and I had recently gotten insurance, so that helps everyone. If you can have health insurance, get it.
Yeah.
I know it's a real challenge, and it was a challenge for me for a long time, but that helped. And two, I think I was seeing myself do some behaviors that seemed not just normal vices, but like harmful. And I think the main one was just eating a ton in the middle of the day for what I thought was just habit or no reason. But what I really saw later was I was getting myself into such a stressed state through work that in the middle of the day when I had a break, I would just want to eat so I didn't have to think about anything. So that was the big behavior that I started to see as like, that needs some attention. I can't just let that go.
Yeah. And so did you figure that out? You figure it out with your in your therapy, with your therapist?
Yeah, I didn't all I saw was the behavior and how I felt, which was kind of exhausted, not wanting to go see people, overweight. Every time I was eating afterwards, I would feel guilty because I was eating in a way that seemed externally really indulgent, really like you're overeating. This is too much. This is every choice is a super hyper palatable, you know, snack food or Chinese takeout or tacos or something, you know, every choice was that. So I was seeing those behaviors and I was seeing how I felt. And I figured there was something I could do on my end to change that. I just didn't know how to do it because I was, you know, 27, 28, and just not sure what to do. So in therapy, she was a cognitive behavioral therapist, and she really prompted me not with like diving deep into, well, what are the emotional reasons we're seeing this eating behavior? She just prompted me with actions first. She was like, well, what do you think you can do? Can you drink an extra glass of water a day? 2 weeks later, she was like, do you think you could keep a food journal? And my answers, because they were such easy questions, my answers were, yeah, of course I can do that. But those two habits really helped me snowball into seeing the really small ways I could change my day and have a big impact on how I felt, my weight over time, and my energy levels. Like those two changes really created a big snowball for me in 2018.
Okay. And so was this your first cognitive behavioral therapist that you've worked with? First one,
Yeah.
first one,
First
great
one, I
one.
had never, and I'm
You didn't
still
have it.
working with her. She's awesome. She's so
That
good.
that's
I had
that's
never gone to anything related to counseling or therapy before.
cool. That you lucked out. I mean,
I
that's
did.
good. Like you can have, there are a lot of ones that you're not gonna click with all of them. You're not gonna do
Hmm.
well. So I mean, you first try just picked right. How'd you land on her? Was she the one that was open to having someone in at that point that you can get in that was close, or was it? Did you research her, or what happened?
Yeah, it was a combo of things. One, she took my insurance. Two, she was nearby. She was between my house and my work. Three, I searched on Psychology Today for CBT practitioners who specialized in disordered eating, and she had that on her bullet point list. And
Cool.
yeah, those were the three big ones. And luckily, she had a space. So I will say I definitely got lucky, because I know a lot of folks personally who have just tried and tried and tried different people and never had a click. And that's hard. That's hard because I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. You don't want to see that. You want to see people succeed.
And especially like um, if it's something you know that can help them out if they find the right person. I tell people this with me, like not everyone's gonna like me, not everyone's gonna click with me, and I'm all right with that. But I know that them being hypnotized would probably be the best thing for them, but don't turn it all off because you don't like me or you don't, click with me. Like I'd much rather have you go try someone else because there's someone who's going to be right for you. And
And
it's
only that
fucking
person can
yeah,
really know.
right. And that's okay. And you can take your time to find one. And I think that's, how it should be with a lot of things. I wrote off all kinds of therapy and stuff of that. I tried it and it was just so bad. But it was just the person that I would go to, not nothing. And then I found one, yeah, same around that same time that you were telling me, or that
Yeah.
you said you started going. I started going, and I found one that I really liked. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is different. I like this. This is
Oh,
good." So
and the fact that
yeah.
you said it was different, because I think that's what people are really, that's what is needed to make an actual change. Like, I feel like, and this is coming from just my reading on like male abusers who go to talk therapy, like, because what happens there is they don't have any change that's given to them. All they get is someone validating their values and validating their experience,
Oh,
which doesn't create a change in their actions. So like, I feel like everyone needs to find the discipline that is going to create the change or the skill building that they need to make a difference. So like, I needed a lot of help with being detached from my thoughts, like seeing my thoughts in a neutral way, not believing them all right away, questioning them if they needed to be questioned. Like, oh, okay, I'm having this thought of, I can't get through this evening without chips, without a big bag of chips. Is that true? Like, let me stop for a second. Okay, that's a thought. It's not necessarily true. I can get through the evening. I've gotten through many evenings without chips. What's making me think I need chips? A feeling in my body, discomfort, wanting something salty. Okay. So anyway, I needed that skill of stepping back and allowing my brain to, uh, allowing myself to not necessarily listen to every single thought in my brain. That's what I needed. And it sounded like you found something really different with that final therapist. Like, what was the skill or the approach that allowed you to do something different that you were looking for?
um, I don't know, because I think all the other ones, it just felt like they didn't get me. I think that was a big part of it. I think that That was the main thing. And
They didn't get you. They weren't
they,
listening to your experience.
or
Like,
they, yeah, or they were, but then they don't. I don't know. I'm not a complex guy by any means, probably, but it's it's still like shit. Like it worked out, and she had a little dog, and the dog was cool.
nice.
But yeah, I felt like I could. The other ones I felt so closed off and standoffish right off the bat. Like I didn't want to say anything or open up about what was going on. But with her, it was just like we were old friends, and
Nice. Yeah, you
yeah,
needed an environment where you could be really open, and those other ones were
yeah,
not.
yeah, and feel like I could be real. Maybe I didn't feel like I could be real either in those other ones, but yeah, she was cool as shit. And so, but then I had her for like, I don't know, a year or something. Then I moved, so that kind of that
Oh,
happens. But yeah, I tried some other ones and they were okay. They were better though. I felt like I had a better grasp of who to go to after her, as opposed to just casting a wide net and seeing what works. And I had some after her that were shitty, and I fucking was like, okay, well, one time is good. That's all I need to do to
yeah.
meet you. I know
You
I'm
knew
not
the
gonna.
signs better.
Yep. And I think yeah, that it's a fucking up. It's like I fucked up, but I have that knowledge from before that I can use, so I'm not really fucking up.
Mental push up.
Doing
Good.
those mental push-ups, gonna be in the mental push-ups Olympics, in 2028 maybe. I'm not gonna make this year, so, I gotta wait. Is there Olympics this year?
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know.
Oh
Okay, so,
yeah.
yeah, it might be a new support in 2028. I'm crossing my fingers I can get to that, represent USA in the mental push-ups.
Yeah. We need it. We need
Yeah.
a gold there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll take the inaugural gold in the mental
Hmm.
push-ups, and
Love
it'd be a
that.
good thing to have. So, so were you still at your job then, in the city when 2020 hit?
Yes, I was still working. It was for a nonprofit education company, so I was on their strategy team. And luckily, when the pandemic hit, like 80% of those people in our nonprofit organization had been working from home anyway, because we were kind of an international organization,
Oh, okay.
or just national. And it was a very easy transition for everyone to just stay home. But I was one of the few people that was going into an office. So it felt very different for me. But it worked out. It was good. And probably I think in 2021 was when I was looking to do work that was closer to my heart. So I left and started working for a health coaching team on an app. So I was the person behind the app, emailing and texting people like, hey, how did your health goal go this week? So I did that for a little bit
How'd you
during the
like doing
pandemic.
how'd you like doing that? Like, did it, like when you first got into it and you had like your first 2 days? Because I think one day could be one thing, but what about like when you got through day 2? Where were you with that? How were you feeling?
Well, what I really liked about it was one, I got to know a bunch of health coaches, and that was nice because that was where I wanted to go. So I wanted to become a service provider. I wanted to start my own kind of service. So it was really nice to meet a lot of other health coaches, some of whom had done that, some of whom had worked for companies. Great to learn and get to know all those people. The other thing I really liked was that I got to really talk with people in a nice kind of closed off setting about their health. And like I feel like I made a nice difference in some people's lives. You know, it depends. Everyone who joined this company got a coach, and not everyone wanted a coach. So it's a lot of people who were like, stop messaging me. But there were some people who really were in the right place and really wanted to use the help of someone to make a change in their life. And I just happened to be there at that time, and it was cool. It was really nice to hear some of the differences that I made. One person, I worked with her for a few months, and her goal at the beginning was to be able to go to her brother's wedding and fly and not have to use a seatbelt extender on the plane. That was just a sign for her that the world was more open to her, like she could travel easily. She was, taking care of her health that way. And she hit that goal. And it was so cool to get that text and to hear that she had done that. It was exciting.
And so then what happens at that point? So when so let's say you're working with a client and they have a goal um of something to that effect of being able to not have to use the extender. Um at that point, are they more likely to try to go more uh further with the new goals? Are they trying to maintain that goal, or do they end up falling off there and going on their own?
That is a
Uh,
great question. I think there are kind of two kind of stages that people are in, and one is more likely for them to keep going and keep being successful and maintain, and the other one they're more likely to kind of see a retreat and maybe a relapse or going backwards in their goal, and then maybe coming back to it later. So the first kind of person was this kind of person. She had a goal that was very close to her heart and her experiences. So it was more of an internal motivation. She really wanted to be able to travel easier to make her life really awesome. She had that very powerful thing that was driving her. So after having that experience, she had seen how much it made her life better. There was evidence that helped her keep going. Other people I can think of who are in the second camp, their goal is more, I would like for other people to see me a certain way, or I would like to have a certain very short life experience. So the people who are like, I have a cruise coming up, I want to lose weight and look great, in my bikini. I have a wedding coming up, or I have, usually those goals are very related to how someone else sees them. It might not be all of that, but it is part of it. And many of us have that alongside an internal motivation, but for the people who only have that, it becomes very, very easy to go all out during that time between then and the cruise, like, because it's going to be short lived. So you're going to eat, a one tiny meal a day and, make it carnivore or something. And then
yeah.
as soon as the cruise hits, your pendulum swings the other way and you're going hog wild on the drinks and the buffets. And then afterwards, you feel super sluggish and you kind of retreat back to whatever you were doing before. So that's kind of how I see those two paths. And those people could be the same people just years later. That's the interesting thing. Many people have the more external aesthetic goals earlier in life, and then later in life you see them decide what's more important, and I think that makes or breaks that person's ability to stick with it.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people so if someone is doing this for someone else, and then if they're doing this for they may say they're also doing it for themselves, but
It may or may not be super close to them.
yeah, it may or may not be super close to them. And if there's some sort of if that relationship turns sour, then that can also be a quick indicator of how much they really wanted to do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And I do this with uh and this is something I don't like. I don't like stop smoking hypnosis very much. I don't like doing it really. Um and a lot of time I'll tell people like, they'll say like, oh, my so and so wants me to stop smoking. Like, okay, well, do you want to stop smoking? Yeah, I guess. Or no, not really.
Mm,
Okay, then don't worry about it now. Don't feel bad about it either. But like it's not the right time. Like you can try if you want, but like if you don't really want to deep down, I mean, it's, it's kind of gotta be something you want to do. Like you're saying, eventually it's going to get to a point where it's like you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it for the right reason, for more of a long-term goal of, you know, I don't know.
Making your life, usually it's some form of my life will be better. I will have experiences that enrich my life. Usually that's kind of it. Or I will actively avoid experiences that really bring down my life. So for some people, that's long-term health conditions or not being able to travel, having kind of self-esteem issues that cause them to say no to cool things in life. That was where I was. Like I was in a place where I had no energy or confidence to go say like, yeah, I'll go out with my friends. Like I even was avoiding hanging out with friends because I didn't feel capable of like being seen by people, and that's something that really lowered my quality of life. I was by myself. I wasn't as connected to people as I am now. And I wouldn't have said that's my main goal at the beginning,
Yeah.
but it did turn out to be such a huge change in how my life turned out. And I'm so thankful that I worked on that, because I think it wasn't the weight loss that gave me the confidence, but it was that kind of like, I'm going to decide to do this thing. And I'm going to decide to do that for my life. I'm not going to decide to do that for 6 weeks. I'm going to make this a part of my new identity. And I was successful. And I think that seeing that was that possible, and it was possible, it really helped me kind of say I could do that in other parts of my life too, I think.
Yeah. And so was it do you go back to your old friends, or did you make new friends, or kind of a combination of the two? Or how did, if it was like, if you were back with your older friends, how did they react to the change, and what were they, like, what were they saying?
I count myself really lucky in that department, because my friends, I've had the same super close circle of friends since probably middle school. My circle now has gotten wider. I have many circles of people that I really love, but this one really core circle have always been like, no matter how depressed or anxious I would have gotten, I feel like they would have been there like every week, like, hey, you want to come out tonight? Like, thank God that, and I know not everyone has that. I was very lucky. I'm very lucky in the people around me. So I still have that awesome circle, and I see them much more now, which is fantastic.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I think I changed one piece of my lack of action, I think, was kind of manifesting in me staying in a relationship that wasn't fulfilling to either of us. We weren't, I think we
Yeah.
were both kind of in that anxious, depressed place. So that ended, but I got to reconnect with family, with friends, and with someone new as well. And I think all of that felt more possible because I felt I was taking control on this one part of my life that was feeling so negative before. I was taking control on eating without emotion and eating in a way that served my health. And that just made me feel like I'm worthy of these people, because I'm taking care of myself. Like I'm more of an adult now. That's how I felt. I felt like a baby before, like I wasn't adulting.
And so then how did your friends react to that? Do they say like, oh, like we didn't notice, that's how you thought, like, that we perceived you? Or were they understanding, kind of like, okay, yeah, like, okay, I see where you're coming from, why you were thinking that way, or what kind of happened there?
I think they noticed more when I left the other partner. They were like, we're glad we saw that you weren't saying yes to coming out, and we noticed a change, and now you're coming out more. We're happy about that. They didn't see too much of because I kept it very, and this is very common. You keep your eating habits if you're in that kind of compulsive eating space, you keep it really secret. Like there's a big community of like secret car eaters, like go to a drive-through or go to a convenience store and eat everything in the car because you don't want your friends or your family to see you doing that. So I kept that very, very hidden. I was doing my 2-hour fast food fest in the middle of the workday by myself. I wasn't going with friends to that. But as I kept moving forward on my food journaling, on just pre-planning my meals, meal prepping, feeling better about what I was actually enjoying, as that moved forward, I felt more open to talk about that kind of thing with friends. So if I did have a hard, even in my maintenance journey, if I did have a hard week where I felt like I was eating emotionally, it was so much easier to go to my friends and say, like, I'm feeling really shitty because of this. And then they would be there and say, like, is that a big deal? Like, they would help me reframe my thoughts. Like, I'm hearing that this feels really hard to you. Is it a big deal? And I'm like, you're right. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a mental push-up.
And now you're doing 47 push-ups every 11 minutes.
I
So,
wish. Exercise came real hard to me, Rusty. Like,
yeah.
the food part came easier. Exercise, I'm still like, am I an exercise person? Does it matter? I love walking. I just joined a gym a few months ago. I have gone through bouts of little bits of running, little bits of dumbbell exercises at home, but I keep it real easy on myself right now because I know I'm like, I'm resentful of this. I don't want it to. So I just keep it as easy, simple as I can.
You're doing the mental push-ups, so that's
That's
a
the
lot.
important part.
That's a big muscle you're working
Totally.
there. So yeah, I mean,
Is that
that's
something
better.
that people come to you? Because you mentioned people might come to you for stopping smoking or something like that. Would anyone come to you for like, I would like to exercise more, I want to become healthier? Is that really common?
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's or weight loss or stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but then I don't know. It's also one that I would rather give to somebody else who could, I don't know, because yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not something that I would be like, I would rather pass that off to someone like yourself. I'd rather be like, "Hey, I know Megan. Can I give you to Megan because like I think that if this is what you're wanting to do, like this is not
It,
I don't have the skill for it. Like, and
and it has
yeah, I
to
don't
feel
want
right to you to help that person with
right.
that. Like, I think there are sometimes some people have goals that I can feel myself like internally, like, but you don't need to accomplish that in order to be good, And so I
Yeah.
have that resistance to wanting to take on that person because I worry that it's either for the wrong reason or, I want them to do something that enriches their life and doesn't necessarily mean that they have to put themselves in a tiny box. And I worry that that's what they're doing. So is that similar to you with the weight
Yeah,
loss and then smoking?
absolutely. And yeah, I don't want to like, I don't know, because yeah, a lot of the times it's like that's probably, I mean, one that there's probably something else that for both of those that should be addressed and worked on. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to be like, hey, you should come see me 5 different times for something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably turn away way too many people.
But
But
you're
it,
principled.
yeah, it wouldn't be right. Like I could, it's one of those things like, I tell people this for sales, like I've sold things and I've sold things that are bullshit and
Mm-hmm.
I've sold some things that are cool, but I don't want someone to come up to me one day and be like, "Hey, I remember you. You sold me some bullshit." Like, why do you want to work with me again? Like, I don't want to work with you again. Like, you fucked me over. Like, basically is how I look at it. And like, sure, I can you can sell anyone anything, but like it's horrible, and it's a lot of people is fine. It's totally fine to them.
Yes.
It's another thing, but like I want I want people. I don't know. Like I don't really want. I don't want repeat customers, but I want word of mouth to go,
Hmm.
which I guess would be like a return, the equivalent of a return customer. Like I don't want someone to, yeah, be like, or like if I'm doing reselling something and someone has, a bunch of something and I can make it like, so let's say something that they sell me something for $50 and I can make $1,000 off of it, and I can pay them $50 or I can pay them $200-300 and have a relationship with them, be able to go back to them anytime. And like if they have something that is, like extra, they can be like, oh, I'll go to Rusty because, he kind of hooks it up, and I know that it's a good relationship, and I'd rather have that. I'd rather have that, and I'd rather have that with doing hypnosis or any sort of coaching or anything. And
Yeah,
um,
it sounds like the results and the relationship are more important than the immediate sale,
right,
which
right,
is different than some people.
yep,
Some people are out there selling bullshit and want to sell it as much as possible. So more Rusties are needed in the world, because I think if I had, I found myself lucky that in that space when I was very anxious, eating emotionally, if I had set myself on the goal of weight loss and found a personal trainer, or I don't know, someone, um, I could have fallen down a hole and never really addressed the skills that help me be calm, like the skills that help me, like stillness, enjoy stillness. Like I could have
right,
just gone down that rabbit hole, maybe lost some weight, but never addressed why I gained the weight in the first place, and then saw it completely come back. And so the person who sold me that might have cared, but they might not have cared.
that's a good
And I
point.
was in a place where, thank God, I found someone who just helped me take action and develop the skills that I needed. Because when you're in that vulnerable place, like that's a place where lots of people will pay a lot of money, and it's a dangerous road to start selling to those people for your principles and your values. If you want to make a
Right.
good difference in the world, got to be careful there.
Yeah. Um, it's hard. It's
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes, but I don't know. It's worth it. And I just if I like, so yeah, this therapist that I had a while back, I ended up finding out that she never turned in anything to insurance. She never ended up charging me.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and then she gave me a book that got me into hypnosis. And then she let me rent out her office for free while I was in
Geez,
Portland,
good
to
person.
do my first, yeah. And so like I try to take from what she did. She did something good, and like and it was at a time when I needed it. And like, yeah, like the first day I went in there, I just found out that like I was sitting in the lobby about to go in there the first day, and I get a text from my sister that like these two people that I graduated high school with, like one of them, like I don't know, the guy was he was I don't know, not he didn't have a great I don't know. One thing led to another. He ended up walking up to where this woman and her best friend and mom worked, and went in, and he came in with a gun, and she walked outside, and he shot her and then shot himself. And like, I gotta text my sister like right when this is happening, and I was cool with her, like, um we were friends and stuff, and so I was like, okay, well, this is it probably the best time to walk in and be like, hey,
I
time
got a
time
fresh
to
one
do
for
this.
you.
Yeah. And I don't know, but like, when you get someone that's good, that can, put you and get you to work on those underlying things that need to be addressed, um, so you don't go and do the same thing over and over. You gotta learn. And like, I think that's just so important. And like what you were saying with that, like, it's gonna help anyone. Like, just like, yeah, you can go and do something that's gonna take it care of it for a little bit, but if you're not, it's just putting a band-aid on a,
Gaping wound.
a gaping wound. Yeah. That's all it
Yeah.
is. And it's like, okay, good. You're gonna get taken care of for a little bit, but you're not prepared for when something comes back up.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think in my line of work, it most comes up when folks want to lose weight, but they have an existing overeating issue, emotional, compulsive, or binge eating issue. Those two goals often just like overlap in a very bad way. So that's a place where I think my principles really come in, because if that person is seeing that behavior multiple times a week or multiple times a month, any weight loss that they achieve is going to be, if that's not addressed, any weight loss they achieve is going to be temporary. And that's where we don't want to be. We don't want that yo-yo cycle. We don't want that quick fix mentality. So for those people, I find myself either saying, I was in that place. CBT is what I did. I either find
Yeah.
like, here are some awesome like things you can do first, because a lot of times the people there are in a very urgent sense of I need to lose weight. And that's almost driving that overeating, binging, because they feel like, well, I got to diet tomorrow, you know? So that is a hard thing for people to hear because they really want help with the weight loss. But when I take on someone like that, we don't make weight loss the goal at that moment. We focus on that first. And then when that person is feeling in a calmer place, with they're eating in a way that is intentional, then weight loss can happen if they want it. And then they're in a better place to move towards weight loss because they're a little calmer around food. But that is a hard thing for those people to hear because there's so much urgency wrapped around, well, I do need to lose weight. I do. Like, I got to do that first.
Yeah.
So
So
it's hard for people to hear, but I think it's a good place for me to always kind of draw the line of let's work on that first.
yeah. Says who that needs to
Mm-hmm.
be the first thing. Was it you that said that? Would someone else say that? Or why do you think that? Why do you think that
Yeah.
that is the main thing that needs to be addressed first? Like,
Yeah. Where do you think that idea came from? What's
yeah,
driving that? What assumptions are behind that belief? What's the
right.
worst that could happen if it doesn't change in the next month? All those great thought questioning questions, super useful. And I always need them. I always need reminders myself of what they are, because there's always going to be something that we feel really uncertain and self-questioning on.
Yep.
So if it's not health or eating, it could be work, it could be your relationship, it could be how you parent your kids, any of that. We're going to need those reminders of those self-questioning questions, because we think ourselves into terror sometimes.
Right. When
It's absurd.
there could be nothing.
Hmm.
There could be little, there could be a little something, there could be nothing, there could be a lot.
It
But
could be something big, right?
yeah,
But it's great to not worry yourself into a tizzy with the small stuff. And that way you're ready when the big stuff comes. You're like, now's the time to worry. Let me summon my energy and let me address it in the best way I can. But you've got some energy to summon because you haven't been freaking out over the little stuff all along.
You've been doing some mental push-ups.
Yeah. Oh, we have
And
such a great theme for this episode. My
Yeah.
Lord. Who
yeah,
thought?
it's probably gonna be the name of it. So so if people want to be doing some mental push-ups with Megan Gaul, how are they going to do that?
They can hang out with me on my Instagram. I just share things that I know have helped me. So whether that's kind of mindset shifts or belief shifts, recipes, like I'm a big fan of cooking, and I learned that since starting on this journey. I wasn't really cooking before that, but I love to cook now. So I share recipes that have always helped me stay full, stay healthy, all that stuff. And I also have a weekly meal planning club that's free on my Instagram. So people can come and plan their week while I plan my week. It's almost like a co-working Instagram live. So if you want to find me on that, my handle is partake_foodie.
Awesome. Are you going for a cookbook or some sort of something?
I would love to. I think that's far in the future. I think I'm working
Okay.
on my, I'm solidifying my one-on-one coaching, and I'm creating a group program. So that's priority first.
Perfect.
But as a pet project, I would love to have a cookbook. I think that'd be so fun.
Yeah. 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 Somewhere down the line,
Yeah, it's
you'll get
a
there.
it's a very crowded place. It's a competitive place.
Yeah.
So I would have to be really different and special in order to attempt it. So
Well, you
somewhere
are.
down the line. Thank you.
You are. So yeah. Cool. Thank you so much for being on, Megan, and I enjoyed getting to talk to you, not knowing what we're going to talk about, and made it that easy for me. So much
Great.
appreciated.
Yeah, this
And
was a great morning for me.
yeah, cool. Me too. And now that it's not morning almost, yeah, well, I can yeah, say I hope you have a great rest of your day, great afternoon, and get to if you end up over at Ghostface
Kill a coffee.
Kill a Coffee, send me a picture or something.
Yeah, I'll say hi for Rusty.
Yeah, just be like, hey, yeah, Rusty says hi.
You know
He'll
Rusty.
know. He'll know. He'll know. He'll understand that. Oh yeah, okay, right, Rusty. Sure. So perfect.
Will do. I will.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll stay in touch, and yeah, I'll have you
Yeah,
back on sometime if you want down the line.
great. Thank you
Awesome.
so much, Rusty.
You bet. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, Megan Gaul, everyone. I almost forgot to do the exit song. So thanks everyone for being here. You want to check me out, rustydiamond.net or hypnosisisgreat.com. This is the public access podcast on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. And check out Megan Gaul, gosh darn it. And that is the show, man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.